All right, so I did a video maybe a couple of days ago or months ago about the thing about generational curses and also about certain principalities in certain countries, you know. So I want to get a little bit more detail and I want to provide more context and I want to provide more examples as into why I believe such case. We can see, first of all, in the book of Daniel, and one of the book of Daniel is in the chapters, Daniel is trying to get a prayer through God. And he's trying to get a prayer to God. And we can see that for various weeks and months, for some reason, there's an angel. This prayer is being prevented from going to God. Finally, Gabriel finally tells him that the reason why it's because the Prince of Persia, when I mean the Prince of Persia, we're referring to a principality, a spiritual being, an atmosphere. The Prince of Persia has trying to hinder the prayer of Daniel. And then Gabriel explains to him that Michael comes to fight away the Prince of Persia. We could also see in other examples in pretty much in Mexico. Now, if what I'm saying, I'm going based on a theory, you also have to realize that this example makes sense. Now, regardless if you believe it or not, I understand that this can be a little bit sensitive, but bear with me. We see, for example, in the land Mexico, before Mexico became a Catholic nation, we noticed that one of the things that Mexico used to do, one of the big, huge empires, was the Aztec Empire. The Aztec Empire did a lot of sacrifices in this land of Mexico. And when that happened, they provided a lot of blood sacrifices. I believe that because of that, it opened a portal to a spirit of death. Now, of course, the Aztecs, they had their own gods. As soon as the Spanish came, they brought their own beliefs and their own belief systems and Catholic and Christianity and stuff like that, and they brought it in here. As the years progressed, you have to understand that many of the Catholics in Mexico, they still continue to practice some sort of paganism, indigenous traditions mixed in with Catholics. As time progressed, not a few years back, maybe into 2000s, late 90s, there was a group of people that actually began to worship the Holy Death, La Santa Muerte. There was many Catholic conservatives in Mexico that refused to do that because they said that it was unbiblical and that it was anti-Christian for them to worship that. As time progressed, we all noticed, and it's even included in many pop culture movies, that a lot of these reference to the Santa Muerte, a lot of cartels begin to use it, and we can see that because of that, they begin to bring in a lot of these deaths in Mexico because of cartel violence. Now, could it be that there is something spiritual linked with it? Who knows? That is my belief. Of course, there's always, even those in the Christian faith that would disagree with me. I'm just going based on, what I see. What we could all agree, however, Christians, is that because of sin, that's just the reason why there's curses in this world, because of the sin of Adam and Eve. However, I try to go more in depth that there is curses between families and also nations. We could also see an example in the Bible that, and this is a clue, this is more of a piece of the clue that you can see from Genesis and Revelations. One of the things in Genesis is that many scholars and many people agree that the Noah's Ark was actually in the Ararat Mountains. That was the mountains of Turkey. Because of that, many have this speculation that that is the throne of Satan. We can see in John in Revelation, he calls that region the throne of Satan. A little backstory to this. So there was a time when the Jews, after the Macedonian Alexander king came to Israel, they brought in these, obviously there's idols and everything, and once he died, there was 4 empires, and these 4 empires, one of the empires began to create, and this is the little story behind the Hanukkah. They built a temple of Zeus, and they desecrated the Jewish temple. Because of this temple, of the Zeus temple, keep in mind that for years they called Baal the devil, as time progressed, it wasn't Baal anymore. It was now Zeus. It was a false god, and out of that, the biggest temple was in the place of Pergamus, Turkey, which in that time was part of the Greek Empire. This is the same area where a lot of deaths occurred. Christians were martyred in that region. As time progressed, of course, it became a Byzantine Empire, Christian Empire, and then eventually became Christian Empire. Well, during the time of Christianity, of the Islamic Empire, specifically the Ottoman Empire, they began to obviously have many wars against Christians. Now, if we look forward, we go to the future. This is part of a clue. Okay, this is just a clue of the reason why I have this belief, and why not just me, but many people actually have this belief. The throne of Zeus. This is the same place. There was an engineer. Who was a German engineer that decided to take that same statue and bring it to Berlin. He brought the statue from Pergamus to Berlin. As time progressed, we noticed that Hitler made a speech before that idol and before that replica of that temple in Berlin. Days later, he took over pretty much all of Europe. What I'm trying to say is that I definitely do believe that there is some sort of influence in nations regarding nations based on the idolatry and the influence. America, for example, is a huge worshiping of sex, and I believe America, there is some sort of sex idol god that we have built and we export it out to the world. Haiti is another country that promotes witchcraft, and we can see how it has a huge influence in the country of Haiti. And this is not just limited to America, Mexico, Haiti. This can go to any other country, of course. Well, this power of evil has no power before God. When there's the gospel and the truth that is spread, I believe that it's broken. However, what I'm trying to do is not cause this fear and this panic of being afraid of certain nations, because every nation has its own influence, principality. What I'm trying to do is bring awareness and have this discernment to really be careful that whenever we bring other people, they might have that stuff. However, at the same time, we should always come in with a heart of grace, with mercy in our hearts, with grace, and to always extend a hand to our neighbors. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say, just the backstory, a little more context to it from what I said earlier in the other video.